is outside passing is everything where my opponent doesn't really have a guard. Okay, if I'm in any kind of position like this, I'm in an outside position. Okay, doesn't have a guard, so I'm actually outside passing. So I'm passing without giving my opponent a guard. So inside passing is when I'm actually in some sort of guard. Okay, so just kind of that general dichotomy. So this is now inside passing because he has a butterfly guard. This is inside passing because he's got a half guard. So anything like this, left, evo, whatever, those are all inside passing positions, okay? So I want to kind of start with sort of the more seated guard versions, things we can do from that, and then kind of work our way in deeper and deeper and deeper. But the main thing I think I want everyone to kind of remember is again, don't approach passing from this concept of I want to get past the guard as fast as possible. Approach passing the same way you would approach side control. You're in side control, you don't try to jump around as quick as possible to get an arm bar or a choke or something. You methodically try to keep control and advance position. And it's the same sort of thing when we're trying to pass. So instead of doing cartwheels and trying to grab the guy's head and toss him around, what we want to do is keep our position and slowly work to upgrade our position until we eventually hit our pass. So it's not the same thing as going for a submission, but the process is very, very similar. So if we're just here, just kind of going with a general shin on shin position, okay, first just kind of, whenever we're wanting to pass any kind of guard, what we need to do is think, what does our opponent, not so much think, but just we have to understand, what would our opponent want in this position, and we have to deny him that. So in shin on shin, what he wants is to raise this leg, yeah, exactly, and kind of put me over here. This is optimal for him, okay? That he gets my foot off the ground and gets my hands to the ground. This is what he wants to do in a shin on shin position, okay? Another thing he wants to do is to grab my other leg and start trying to wrestle out. Yeah, exactly, something like that, okay? So those are his goals in shin on shin, okay? His main goals, okay? So the first thing I want to do is keep that leg away from him so that he can't get to it and do his wrestle out. The other thing is that I want to make sure I put weight on this foot so that he can't just elevate it. So coming over here. Yeah, now it's going to be really hard for him to elevate, and then we can start working into our pass from here. Something I have a lot of success with is I like to frame on this foot and bring him over to this hip. Even though I have not technically passed yet, he still has my foot. He's much more unathletic in this position, okay? He's not going to be able to do as many techniques. He's going to have to retain some sort of position first before he can actually start fighting in the guard. Okay, and especially if I just keep this frame on his foot, yeah, okay, I can actually kind of hinder his motion a lot from here. Okay, and from here it's pretty easy. I can just reach around, flatten him out, and I get my pass. So not really rocket science, but I think it's kind of surprising how many people just kind of sit there and go, oh, he's got his shin on shin. What do I do? Oh, now he's unbalancing me. So, and that's kind of how we want to deal with everything. It's the first thing we want to do in any kind of position is just deny him what he wants in that position. Okay, so kind of reviewing back. So shin on shin. So again, he wants this leg close to him and he wants to unweight that leg. So my first job is get that leg far away, frame on his foot, put weight on that leg, and now I tip him over to the side he doesn't want to be on. And as you see, if I'm actually doing this seriously, I can pretty much immediately pass it by like that. Okay? So let's drill this one a bit, and then we'll go to a couple of other situations in the seated position that we need to work out. So things like that, like you have an R guard and things like that. Okay? The next position he's most likely going to try and get in this kind of a constellation. And before we go on, there's two things I want to make sure I point out, okay? First of all, if he, like with the shin on shin, If he gets here, I've already made a lot of mistakes. Okay, I've lost the hand fight, I gave him access to my knees, I didn't stay head to head. So I've already made a couple of mistakes if he's able to get here. Okay, so when we do some sparring against open guard later, always remember, first is hand fight and head position. Okay, so we should be going in like this. He should have to go through my hands to get to my legs. He shouldn't be able to get that easy access to my legs, and I need to have head position, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind, first of all, when we're in this particular position. If he's able to get here, I've already done a couple of things wrong, okay? So always keep that in mind. Just because we're working on this doesn't mean ignore everything else. Everything should build off of everything else, okay? So another situation another guard that he'll often try to go for here is kind of de la riva. So let's say, yeah, exactly. So if he comes here. And again, it's the same sort of thing we need to keep in mind. What does he want in de la riva? Okay, in de la riva, he wants again to twist my knee to the inside, to unbalance this leg, and normally push on that leg and get me turning this way. So just kind of, yeah, this is kind of his goal in de la riva, some sort of variation of this. Okay, then he can start trying to unbalance me and everything, and I try to react, and then he does this particular things where he can start going for back takes. But he's generally, again, his first step is always going to be to turn, his main goal is always going to be trying to turn this knee inside and extending me in that direction, okay? So again, we want to not let him get that. So the first thing I want to do is control this foot, just because it's low-hanging fruit right now. And since he wants to turn my knee to the inside, I want to do everything I can to turn my knee to the outside. Okay, I can go ahead and take out this hook as well. And now I haven't necessarily destroyed his guard, but now I've made it a lot harder for him to do what he wants. Okay? And so here, this is where we can actually start going into headquarters passing. Okay? So I've got control of both feet, and I can just immediately stuff it in here. Okay? And now I have a nice sort of headquarters position. We go into headquarters passing in more detail later. We'll just do sort of a simple smash pass from here. But more about headquarters is this position. I see a lot of people kind of doing headquarters like this. I personally don't like to do headquarters like this because, again, I'm not putting pressure on him. You feel kind of fine right now, don't you? Yeah. That's the first problem. Second problem is if he just kicks me, I lose my balance. Okay? So, when I'm doing headquarters, again, even though I'm in inside position and I'm and doing inside passing, I want hand control. I want to go in, get him flat. I like to put weight on this knee. And it's hard to see this, turn around so that they can see it. I'm actively putting weight into that other leg and I'm splitting his legs apart. Okay? So I have this one knee and I'm kind of making do a bit of a split here. Okay? This is a lot less comfortable for you now, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay? And so from here, the first thing I like to do is to just kind of slip that knee by with the pressure, and I get my pass. Pretty simple. We'll go more into detail with headquarters passing later. Then we'll switch that into, because we can also enter butterfly half from here, do some tripod passing. But I just kind of want to, we don't have that much more time before we start doing some sparring, so I just wanted to kind of get the general idea of forcing headquarters from the de la riva, okay? So again, he gets a de la riva, okay? Again, we need to take away his weapons. So this automatically puts me in a much safer position than before. If he tries to do something to debalance me now, it's a lot more work. Yeah, okay? So, and from here, I stuff the one foot between my legs and put pressure on that second leg. Notice how my foot is going outside. Okay, I'm not like this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's able to start reclaiming a guard, getting a butterfly half, and so he can do that. He has more options. I'm actively spreading those feet apart. Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to hear. Whenever your opponent's going, oh, that's a good thing. Okay, and then we can start hand fighting from here. So now he doesn't have hands. Oh. Okay? Okay. And we just slide that leg by. Okay? Pretty simple pass option. Anyone need to see that again? Otherwise, I think we can give that a bit of a try. Okay? So, cut. And now I want to give one more bit of information that I haven't said yet, but I want to make it nice and clear. Through the magic of editing, this will be the first thing I talk about in the video on YouTube. Something that's kind of a reiterating topic right now, sort of the grappling meta. It used to be the order of operations was always, if we're trying to pass guard, first we defeat the legs, then we get him on his back, then we control the hips, and then we start doing the so-called cranial shift that Dr. always talks about. And nowadays, and this is something you're going to hear me say a lot now, nowadays the preferred method is to try to get chest to chest first and worry about passing the legs afterwards. You see this a lot with Joseph Chen, with that butterfly hat passing that he does so often. What he's trying to do is to get chest to chest first, and once he gets his chest to chest, that's where he starts worrying about how he's going to pass the guard. Because the positive thing for me is if I have chest to chest first when I'm passing guard, then I don't have to worry about my pin once I've passed the guard. Okay? So the old method, sort of the old order of operations we had, we would pass here, and about here we would start scrambling. Okay? He would start trying to shrimp out, I would have to chase out, he would re-guard, I would have to start doing a bunch of stuff like this, and it makes my job a lot harder because it's all a lot more athletic and a lot more high energy. Okay? I have to do a lot more fighting because I've just given him more freedom to move. Okay? In contrast, if I can get a chest on chest first and get him pinned, okay, he's automatically less athletic now. Okay? He can only really use his arms. And even if he passes this way, here, okay, he's still very unathletic. And once I get here, I have the pin. I don't have to worry about him. He can't scramble from here. At the very least, not very well. Okay, it's a lot more work for him to scramble if I have chest on chest from the beginning. Okay? So, that's going to be in inside passing, the topic you're going to hear me repeat a lot is to try to get chest on chest as the very first thing, or as soon as possible. Okay? The sooner you get chest on chest, the easier it's going to be to pin later. Okay?